anyway, she packs the kids up. And before she leaves, she grabs these tapes that I've been collecting. And she puts them in a pile. And she says, you either listen to these things or I'm throwing them out. And again, I had no reason to say, keep them. I hadn't listened. I hadn't even thought about them in a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. I've just been collecting them and throwing them on the different houses. And that little voice, the little quiet voice says, yeah, leave them there. But leave them on the floor. I'll get to them. I don't care, you know. And a few days goes by. I'm walking by the tapes. And I said, you know, little voice says, open one up. And I said, okay. I start to walk. Another voice says, well, for what? There's nothing in there for you. Nothing. And then that starts, that whole dialogue of what's in there. I want to get it. I want to get it. When I read about demonic realms and angelic realms in the Bible, I went right back to this moment in my life. Because it was a struggle to get in there, because something knew what was in them things. And I ripped one open. I finally got over that after 5 minutes. You know, I'm 40 years old, and I'm having an argument with myself in the front room. I used to say that's why I got drunk in the morning. It was crowd control, you know. But it's just, maybe I am nuts. I don't know. But I'm trying to get into this. I rip one open. I throw them on the floor, and I go there. You know, there's a couple tapes. And I go, all right, what am I going to do now? Pick one up, Ecclesiastes. And I couldn't even pronounce it. It was Ecclesiastes or whatever. I said, I don't know what this thing. I got to get that Bible. Where's that Bible? Oh, it's in the junk drawer. That's where I left it. So I pulled the Bible out of the junk drawer. I put the tape into the machine. And I start listening to this pastor from Denton, Texas, talk about what Solomon, this wise old man, 78 years old, wrote Ecclesiastes at the end of his life about life on earth. And it starts out with meaningless, meaningless. It's all meaningless. That got my attention. Boom. Because that's the way I felt. I couldn't find anything worth meaning in this earth. Really, nothing. Not career, not my wife, not my kids, not my cars, not my home, nothing. And he starts talking about it. And basically, Solomon's conclusions were that life without God will have no meaning. And I didn't understand that. As he began to explain about the creation, in order to enjoy the creation, you have to know the one that created it. And if happiness were an act of will, we'd all be happy. Because that's basically what we want out of life. Everybody wants to be happy. You ask them. So if it was an act of human will, why aren't we happy? We're the most medicated species on the planet. We really are. And all it is, what I found out, what he said, was something has to come outside of us, inside of us, change our hearts, and then work its way out through the act of service to others. And I was blown away. For the first time in my life, I heard something that made sense. And I believe it was because that day God chose to turn it on inside me. That was the light switch. Bam, it went on. And I was like, wow, this is it. This is what I was looking for. I wanted purpose. I wanted some reason to get up in the morning and put one foot in front of the other. And then I said, without God, I have no. Well, how do I get God? So I opened another tape, put another tape, another tape, another tape, because I'm a compulsive, addictive personality. I was just, I mean, I'm not kidding you, man. And I'm making notes in my Bible, and I'm going like, man, this is the greatest stuff I've ever heard. At one point, I wanted to run on my lawn and hold the Bible up. Have you read this thing? Wow, what a book. Man, this is amazing. Wow. And I don't know why it was 40 years or whatever. I mean, this was a 13-year journey up to this point. I'm not telling you, this did not come overnight. I didn't get the road to Damascus epiphany that Paul got. I'm telling you, man, I sought this. And I went out and I laid in fetal position. I used to go to the desert and scream up at God, all right, if you're up there, show me, you know. And I mean, it was today, that day, bam. And I'm listening to these tapes, and then he gets to the Jesus that he knew. The one he says he was at a prison, and I'll never forget this line. I love this line. He was at a prison doing a sermon, and he said to the prisoners in this prison, he said, I would not walk across this stage to tell you about my religion, Christianity, but I will crawl on my hands and knees through broken glass to hell and back to tell you about the love of my Savior, Jesus Christ. And I heard that as a man. As a man, I said, that's what I want.